The morning shift at the Deep Space Communications Array started like any other Tuesday for Commander Jake Morrison. Sipped his coffee while watching the endless stream of data flow across the monitoring screens. Darkness beyond Earth's atmosphere, silent and peaceful as they had been for millions of years. Then everything changed. At exactly 9:47 Greenwich Mean Time, every satellite dish on the planet turned toward the same point in space, started screaming alerts. Dr. Lisa Hamilton rushed from her lab to the main control room, her white coat flapping behind her. "Jake, what's happening?" she asked, staring at the massive energy readings flooding the screens. "I don't know," Jake replied, his fingers dancing across the control panel. The image slowly formed on the main display. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The vessel stretched for miles, its surface gleaming like liquid silver. Under the distant sun, strange symbols pulsed with soft blue light along its hull. Admiral Roy Carter burst through the control room doors, still putting on his uniform jacket. "Report," he barked. "Unknown vessel, sir," Jake said. "It's massive. Our computers estimate it's about 20 miles long." "What's it saying?" "That's the strange part, sir. Speaking perfect English." The main speakers crackled to life. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Zethkar of the Velenari, speaking for the Galactic Protectorate Council. I come with an offer of friendship and protection." Dr. Hamilton grabbed Jake's arm, continued calm and patient. "Your world has been observed and evaluated. We are pleased to inform you that Earth has been selected to receive guardianship protection. Your species shows promise, though you remain primitive in your current state." Admiral Carter stepped forward. "This is Admiral Roy Carter of Earth Defense Command. State your intentions." "Ah, a military leader. Excellent, Admiral Carter. We come to offer your world something beyond your current understanding. Safety, security, a place in the greater galactic community." 3 more ships appeared on the screens, each one as magnificent as the first. They arranged themselves in a perfect diamond formation, their lights pulsing in harmony. "We offer advanced technology," the alien voice said, "medical knowledge that will end disease and extend your lives. Energy systems that will power your world without harming your environment. Transportation that will carry you to the stars." Jake looked at Dr. Hamilton. Her eyes were wide with wonder and fear. "Importantly," Ambassador Zethkar continued, "we offer protection from the dangers that threaten all developing civilizations. The galaxy is not the peaceful place your stories imagine. Ancient evils that consume entire species. Cosmic storms that can strip away atmospheres." A holographic display materialized. In the center of the control room, each green star represents a world under our protection, the ambassador explained. Hundreds of civilizations that live in peace and prosperity because they accepted our guidance. They have been saved from the terrible fates that befell those who refused our help. The map changed, showing star systems marked in red. Many of them were dark, their planets nothing but lifeless rocks. "These are the worlds that chose to face the darkness alone," Zethkar said sadly. "They believed they could protect themselves. They were wrong. How long have you been watching us? Your species has interested us for several of your centuries. You show remarkable adaptability and creativity. With proper guidance, humans could become valuable members of the galactic community." Admiral Carter frowned. "Valuable how?" "Species contributes according to their strengths. Some excel at manufacturing, others are gifted researchers or explorers. A few show talent for maintaining peace and order. We will help you discover humanity's true potential." Captain Steve Parker entered the control room, still breathless from running up 6 flights of stairs. He had been in the cafeteria when the alert started. Steve was known throughout Earth Defense Command for asking direct questions that made people uncomfortable. "We're talking to aliens, Captain. They want to protect us." Steve looked at the magnificent ships on the screen, then at the holographic galaxy map. He studied the green and red markers for a long moment. "Protect us from what, exactly?" he asked. The question hung in the air like a challenge. "Ambassador." Zethkar's response came after a pause that lasted just a little too long. "From the many dangers that exist in space, Captain Parker, Surely you understand that a young civilization like yours cannot possibly comprehend all the threats that surround you. But what specific threats? Steve pressed. Another pause. Dr. Hamilton noticed that the pulsing lights on the alien ship seemed to flicker slightly.
Yes, sir?
Complex matters that require extensive explanation, Zethkar replied. Once you accept our protection, we will provide full education about galactic dangers. For now, it is sufficient to know that they exist and that we can shield you from them. Steve crossed his arms. With respect, Ambassador, that's not really an answer. Admiral Carter shot him a warning look, but Steve continued. You show us maps of dead worlds and tell us they died because they refused your help, but you won't tell us what killed them. That seems odd for people trying to help us. The alien ships moved slightly, adjusting their formation. It was a small change, but Jake noticed it on his screens. Captain Parker, Zethkar said, and for the first time, the voice carried a hint of irritation. Your skepticism is understandable but unnecessary. Many species react this way when first contacted. It is a natural response to fear the unknown. I'm not afraid, Steve said quietly. I'm curious. There's a difference. Dr. Hamilton found herself nodding. Steve was right. Something felt wrong about this whole conversation.
Aliens?
Spoke like teachers talking to small children, offering gifts but demanding trust without explanation. Perhaps Admiral Carter said carefully, you could give us some time to consider your offer. This is a big decision for our entire species. We understand that primitive species require time to process such momentous news. The holographic display changed again, showing technical diagrams of amazing machines and medical devices. Study these gifts we offer, the ambassador continued. Imagine your world free from want, from disease, from the fear of cosmic destruction. All we ask in return is your trust and cooperation. The transmission ended. The hologram faded, stared at the now empty space where the hologram had been. Something's not right about this. What do you mean? Admiral Carter asked. I don't know yet, but Steve's question bothered them. Did you notice how they avoided giving a real answer? Steve nodded grimly. In my experience, people who won't explain what they're protecting you from usually aren't protecting you at all. Outside, the alien ships waited in the darkness, their lights pulsing patiently. They had made this offer to hundreds of worlds before. 3 days had passed since the alien ships arrived, and Director Helen Torres had not slept more than 4 hours total. Her office at Earth Defense Command looked like a hurricane had hit it. Papers covered every surface, coffee cups formed. Small towers on her desk, and 3 computer screens showed different analysis reports. Ma'am, you need to see this, Dr. Alex Rivera said as he entered her office. He carried a thick folder under his arm and looked just as tired as she felt. What did you find, Alex? I've been studying the historical records they gave us about protected worlds. Something's very wrong with their timeline. Helen pushed aside a stack of alien technical diagrams. Show me. Alex opened the folder and spread out several charts. Look at this pattern. Every single protected world shows the same development curve. They advance quickly for about 50 years after joining the Protectorate. Then everything stops. Stops how? No new inventions, no cultural changes, no population growth. It's like someone hit a pause button on their entire civilization. Studied the charts. The pattern was so clear it was impossible to miss. That's not natural. Exactly. Real civilizations don't develop in identical patterns. They should be different, unique, chaotic even. But these worlds all look like copies of the same basic template. Before Helen could respond, Colonel Matt Baker knocked on her open door. Director, we have a problem. The aliens are asking to meet with world leaders tomorrow. They say they need an answer soon. How soon? They won't say exactly. Just that other matters require their attention if we take too long to decide. Helen frowned. Other matters? What other matters? They wouldn't explain that either. Dr. Rivera gathered his charts. Ma'am, I think we need more time to study this. The data they've given us raises serious questions.
What kind of questions?
Like, why do all protected worlds follow the same development pattern? Why won't they give us specific information about these cosmic threats? And why are they in such a hurry for an answer? Colonel Baker nodded. The military advisors are asking the same things. Admiral Carter wants a full security review before we even consider their offer. Helen stood up and walked to her window. The alien ships were visible in the night sky, for bright stars that shouldn't be there. What does Lieutenant Commander Williams think? She's running intelligence analysis now. Should have results by morning. Across the city, Lieutenant Commander Beth Williams sat in a windowless room surrounded by computer monitors. She had been studying every word the aliens had spoken, looking for patterns and inconsistencies in their statements. Computer replay. Conversation segment 47, she said. The speakers filled with Ambassador. His voice talking about cosmic storms that could destroy atmospheres. Beth listened carefully, then played the next segment where he discussed ancient evils that consumed civilizations. Computer, analyze speech patterns for truthfulness indicators. The analysis appeared on her screen. The results made her stomach tighten. According to every lie detection program they had, the aliens were being deceptive. Not lying exactly, but carefully avoiding the truth. She picked up her phone and called Tony Clark in the engineering department. Tony, how's the analysis of their protection technology going? That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Tony's voice crackled through the speaker. This stuff isn't what they claim it is. What do you mean? Come down to Lab 7? You need to see this in person. 20 minutes later, Beth stood in the engineering lab, looking at holographic displays of alien technology. Tony pointed to a complex device that looked like a crystalline flower. They say this is a planetary defense grid, he explained. But look at what it actually does. The hologram rotated, showing energy flows and data streams. Beth studied it for several minutes before the truth hit her. This isn't a defense system. It's a monitoring system. Exactly. It would give them complete access to all our communications, transportation systems, and resource management. They could track every human on the planet. Nina Foster looked up. From another display, it gets worse. The medical technology they're offering? It includes genetic scanners that would create a complete biological database of our entire species. Why would they need that for medical treatment? Beth asked. They wouldn't, Tony said grimly, but they would need it if they wanted to control population genetics or identify people with specific traits. Beth felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of traits? Intelligence levels, physical capabilities, psychological profiles? Everything you'd need if you were selecting people for different roles in some kind of hierarchy. Nina pulled up another display. The transportation technology is the same story. It's not just about moving people efficiently. The control systems would let them restrict movement and track everyone who uses it, so their gifts aren't gifts at all, Beth said slowly. They're control mechanisms. That's what it looks like to us, Tony confirmed. Every piece of technology they've offered would give them unprecedented control over human civilization. The next morning, Director Torres called an emergency meeting with all department heads. The main conference room buzzed with nervous energy as scientists, military officers, and intelligence analysts shared their findings. Admiral Carter spoke. First, the military analysis is clear. Their ships are positioned to control access to and from Earth. If we accepted their protection, we'd be completely dependent on them for space travel. Dr. Rivera presented his historical analysis. Pattern is too consistent to be natural. Protected worlds don't just stop developing. They're being controlled. Lieutenant Commander Williams shared her intelligence findings. Every conversation with them shows signs of deception. They're not telling us the truth about these supposed threats. Engineer Clark explained the technology analysis. Their gifts aren't protection. They're tools for monitoring and controlling populations. Director Torres listened to everything in silence. When the reports were finished, she asked the question everyone was thinking. So what are we dealing with here? What do they really want? Captain. Steve Parker, who had been quiet during the presentations, finally spoke up. I think they want us, not as partners or protected allies, as subjects. Explain, Admiral Carter said. Think about it. They show up claiming to protect civilizations from mysterious threats they won't identify. They offer technology that looks helpful, but actually gives them complete control. All the protected worlds follow identical development patterns. Steve stood up and walked to the display showing the galaxy map. What if there are no cosmic threats? What if the Galactic Protectorate is the threat? The room fell silent. Dr. Hamilton was the first to speak. You're suggesting they're not protectors at all. I'm suggesting they're farmers, Steve said quietly. And civilizations like ours are the crop. Director Torres felt her blood turn cold. That would explain everything. The identical development patterns, the control technology, the rush for an answer, and the dead worlds they showed us, Dr. Rivera added. What if those species refused their protection and were destroyed not by cosmic threats, but by the Protectorate itself? Admiral Carter leaned back in his chair. If you're right, then we're in serious danger either way. Accept their offer and become slaves. Refuse and face their military. Maybe, Steve said. But at least if we refuse, we go down fighting as free humans instead of living as controlled ones. Director Torres looked around the room at the faces of Earth's brightest minds. Fear was there, but also determination. We need more evidence before we make any accusations. But I think we should start preparing for the possibility that Captain Parker is right. What do you want us to do? Lieutenant Commander Williams asked. Keep digging. Find proof. Quietly start preparing defenses. If the Galactic Protectorate isn't what they claim to be, we need to be ready. Outside, the alien ships continued their patient orbit. Ambassador Zethkar had reported to his superiors that the humans were taking longer than usual to accept protection. But that was normal for primitive species. They always came around eventually. After all, they had never met a civilization that could resist the Protectorate's offer. They had never met humans before. The ship he commanded, Earth's most advanced reconnaissance vessel, was about to undertake the most dangerous mission in human history. They were going to spy on the aliens. All systems green, Captain, reported his navigator, Lieutenant Kim Walsh. Stealth field is holding steady. Good. Take us out slowly. Yeah, if our theory is right, we need to see what's really happening on those protected worlds. The ship slipped away from Earth orbit like a shadow. More importantly, they were all volunteers who understood they might not come back. Dr. Kate Morgan floated into the bridge from her research station. As Earth's top cultural anthropologist, she would analyze whatever they found on the alien worlds. If the aliens were telling the truth, we should find ruins from the cosmic threat that destroyed them, and if they were lying, we'll find something very different. 3 days later, they reached the Kethalani homeworld. What they found made everyone on the ship feel sick. The planet was still alive. But it wasn't the Kethalani who lived there anymore. Massive mining operations covered what had once been cities. Strange alien machines crawled across the surface, stripping away mountains and digging enormous holes. Ryan focused the long-range cameras. The truth was worse than any of them had imagined. Hundreds of different alien species worked in the mines. Guard towers watched over them, staffed by other aliens wearing the same symbols they had seen on the Protectorate ships. This is a slave operation, Dr. Morgan said quietly. Lieutenant Walsh detected energy signatures from orbit. Captain, there are Protectorate ships stationed here. 3 of them, just like the ones at Earth. They visited 4 more systems over the next week. Each one told the same horrible story. Protected. Worlds had been turned into resource extraction sites. The original inhabitants were gone, replaced by workers from other conquered species. But it was the 5th world that provided the smoking gun they needed. Agent Sam Collins was monitoring alien communications when he heard something that made his blood freeze. Captain, you need to hear this, Sam called from the communications station. The translated alien voices filled the bridge. Through the speakers. Status report on Sector 47 acquisitions. The Terran proposal proceeds as planned. Initial resistance is normal for a Type 3 species, and if they refuse, standard enforcement protocols will be implemented. The human specimens show promising physical and intellectual characteristics. They will adapt well to mining operations once properly conditioned. What about their military capabilities? Primitive but aggressive. perfect for security forces once loyalty conditioning is complete. We estimate 60% suitable for guard duty. The alien conversation continued. Have the cultural preservation samples been selected? Affirmative. We will maintain approximately 50,000 humans in controlled habitats for genetic diversity purposes. The rest will be integrated into the labor force. Excellent. How soon can we begin implementation? The moment they refuse protection or accept it. Either choice leads to the same outcome. Captain Ryan felt rage building in his chest. The aliens had never intended to protect humanity. They had come to harvest them. Scout Commander Eric Moore made the final discovery that confirmed their worst fears. While exploring the outer edges of the Kethalani system, he found something the aliens had tried to hide. Captain, I'm detecting wreckage on the dark side of the fourth moon. They moved closer to investigate. What they found were the remains of Kethalani warships. The metal was scorched and twisted, but enough remained to tell the story. Dr. Rachel Stone, their archaeologist, studied the wreckage carefully. These ships fought hard, Captain. Look at the weapon impacts. They knew they were fighting for their lives. How long ago? Ryan asked. Based on the decay patterns and radiation signatures, I'd say about 300 years. Right when the Protectorate, the evidence was clear. Kethalani had refused protection and fought back. Sir Lieutenant Walsh said, from her station, I'm detecting movement. The journey back to Earth took 4 days. Captain Ryan used the time to compile their evidence into a comprehensive report. Videos of the slave operations, recordings of alien communications, archaeological. They found the situation had changed. Admiral Carter met them at the space station with grim news. The aliens are getting impatient. They want an answer tomorrow. Tomorrow? Ryan asked. They've not enough time to share what we found with world leaders. It gets worse. They've made it clear that refusal isn't really an option, Ambassador. Dr. Morgan laughed bitterly. Cosmic accidents, right? We know what those accidents really are. The reaction was everything he had expected. Shock, anger, and fear mixed together as the truth sank in. So we're damned. Either way, Director Torres said after viewing all the evidence, accept their protection and become slaves. Not necessarily, Captain Steve Parker said. He had been studying the tactical data from their reconnaissance mission. A Kethalani fought. Alone, they didn't know what they were really facing until it was too late. What are you suggesting? Admiral Carter asked. We know their real intentions. We know how they operate. That gives us advantages the Kethalani never had. Dr. Morgan nodded slowly. And we have something else they don't expect. What's that? Proof of their crimes? Evidence that could be broadcast across the galaxy? Imagine what would happen if every protected world learned the truth about their guardians. Lieutenant Commander Williams had been quiet during the briefing, but now she spoke up. The communications intercepts show they have enforcement fleets, spread thin across hundreds of systems. If multiple worlds rebelled at once, they might not be able to respond to all of them. Captain Ryan felt hope stirring in his chest. So we don't just fight them. We expose them. Exactly, Steve said. Show the galaxy what the Galactic Protectorate really is. Admiral Carter stood up and walked to the star charts covering one wall. It's a long shot. We'd be betting everything on the hope that other species will fight back once they know the truth. At least this way we die as free humans trying to free others. And if we succeed, Dr. Morgan added, we don't just save ourselves, we save every species under Protectorate control. Captain, tomorrow they would give the aliens their answer. It wouldn't be the answer the Protectorate expected. General Kevin Adams had not slept in 36 hours. His office looked like a war room, with maps, technical diagrams, and battle plans covering every surface. Earth had less than 12 hours before the aliens demanded their final answer. Humanity was preparing for the fight of their lives. All major cities are implementing evacuation protocols, Lucy said, spreading out the latest updates. Military units are moving to defensive positions. Dr. Mitchell's team has finished the first batch of modified weapons. What about the broadcast system? Ready to go? The moment we give our answer to the aliens, every satellite on Earth will start transmitting our evidence to the galaxy. The message will reach hundreds of star systems within hours. General Adams rubbed his tired eyes. The plan was desperate, but it was all they had. Refuse the alien offer, expose their crimes to the galaxy, and hope that other enslaved species would rebel before the Protectorate could destroy Earth. Down in the research labs, Dr. Gary Mitchell was putting the finishing touches on humanity's secret weapon. Working around the clock, his team had reverse-engineered captured alien technology and discovered something the Protectorate never expected. The alien computers are incredibly advanced, he explained to Chief Engineer Mary Collins. But they can't handle truly random inputs. Mary looked at the modified human computer system he had built. It looked like chaos. Wires ran everywhere. Components were mixed from dozens of different manufacturers, and the whole thing hummed with barely controlled energy. Human technology developed through trial and error, competition, and pure stubbornness. Every manufacturer used different standards. Every programmer had their own style. It's inefficient and messy, but that makes it impossible for the alien systems to predict or control. Dr. Mitchell demonstrated by connecting an alien interface to his computer. Their technology expects logical, organized systems, he continued. But human systems are chaotic. Meanwhile, Ambassador Patricia Ward was preparing for the most important speech in human history.
How?
In 2 hours, she would, Admiral Carter asked as he entered her office. The speech is finished. It's short, direct, and very clear about what we think of their protection. The aliens won't like it. Good, I want them angry. Angry people make mistakes, and we need them to make mistakes if we're going to survive this. His small fleet of ships looked pathetic compared to the massive alien vessels, but they had advantages the Protectorate couldn't see. All ships, the defense grid is online, and all automated systems are active. What about the surprise packages? Hidden throughout the asteroid belt. Aliens will never see them coming until it's too late. The human defense plan was unlike anything the Galactic Protectorate had ever faced. Instead of meeting the aliens in traditional space battles, Earth's defenders had scattered thousands of small automated weapons throughout the solar system. Each one was programmed with chaotic, unpredictable attack patterns that alien computers couldn't analyze. Ambassador Zethkar wants to speak with our leaders. Put him through, Neil ordered. The familiar alien voice filled the bridge. But, Captain Carter, your leaders have had sufficient time to consider our generous offer. We require an immediate response. We'll get your response in 1 hour, Ambassador. Ambassador Ward will address your council directly. This delay is unnecessary and inappropriate. Primitive species should be grateful for our protection, not waste time with endless discussions. Neil noticed the change in tone. The aliens were dropping their polite mask. We'll give you our answer when we're ready, not before.
Captain?
You do not seem to understand your position. We are offering your species a chance to join the galactic community. Refusal would be most unfortunate for your world. Is that a threat, Ambassador? It is a statement of fact. Worlds that refuse our protection often face cosmic disasters soon after. It would be tragic if Earth suffered such a fate. The transmission ended. Neil turned to his. They just threatened to destroy us if we don't submit. 1 hour later, Ambassador Patricia Ward stood before the cameras that would broadcast her words across Earth and into space. Behind her stood the leaders of every major nation on the planet. Humanity was united for the first time in its history. United against a common threat. Ambassador Zethkar and members of the Galactic Protectorate Council, she began, her voice steady and strong. We have carefully considered your offer of protection. On the alien ships, Ambassador Zethkar listened with growing concern. Something in the human's tone suggested this would not be the grateful acceptance he expected. Your protected worlds are not thriving civilizations. They are labor camps staffed by conquered species. Your cosmic threats are lies designed. Zethkar's alien features twisted with anger. This had never happened before. No species had ever discovered the truth before accepting protection. We have evidence, Patricia said, as data displays appeared behind her. Video recordings of your mining operations, communications intercepts, revealing your true plans for humanity. The evidence played for the galaxy to see. Images of enslaved aliens working in mines. Recorded conversations about turning humans into laborers. Wreckage of Kethalani warships destroyed by Protectorate forces. Therefore, Patricia announced, Earth's answer to your offer is simple. No, we refuse your protection.
Oh?
We reject your guardianship. We will remain free, or we will die free. But we will never willingly become your slaves. Across the galaxy, the message reached hundreds of star systems. On world after world, enslaved species heard the truth about their protectors for the first time. The reaction was immediate. On Veltar Prime, workers in the crystal mines stopped. Their laborants stared at the broadcast. On Zephyr Station, maintenance crews realized they weren't employees but prisoners. On 100 other worlds, the careful lies that held the Protectorate's empire together began to crumble. Ambassador's furious voice filled Earth's communication channels. You have made a grave error, humans. Your world will be destroyed. As an example to others who might consider defying our will. Actually, Patricia replied calmly, I think you're the one who made the error. You assumed we would react like every other species you've encountered. But humans have a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. She smiled at the camera. We're not doing nothing. And neither will anyone else, once they know the truth. On alien worlds across the galaxy, rebellions were already beginning. The Protectorate's greatest fear was becoming reality. Their slaves were learning to ask the same question humans had asked from the beginning. Protection from what? And now they knew the answer. War Commander Vexmel had conquered 47 worlds in his long career. He had crushed rebellions, destroyed fleets, and turned entire species into obedient slaves. The humans should have been just another easy victory. He was wrong. Sir, the enforcement fleet is in position, reported his tactical officer as they approached Earth's solar system. 12 heavy cruisers, 40 destroyer-class vessels, and 2 planet-killer ships. More than enough to handle a primitive Type 3. Civilization. Vixmel studied the tactical display. Earth looked defenseless, just a blue-green world orbiting a yellow star. The human fleet was tiny, barely worth noticing. This would be over quickly. Begin the attack, he ordered. Destroy their orbital stations first, then target their major cities. Leave enough survivors for the labor camps. The alien fleet moved toward Earth with the confidence of predators approaching helpless prey. They had done this hundreds of times before. But within minutes, everything went wrong. Admiral Scott Turner watched the alien ships approach from his command center deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. All units execute Plan Chaos. Across the solar system, thousands of hidden automated weapons came to life. They had been disguised as asteroids, space debris, and abandoned satellites. Now they revealed their true nature as they launched coordinated attacks on the alien fleet. What is happening? Vixmel roared as his ships came under fire from every direction. Where are these weapons coming from? Known, sir. They appear to be primitive human devices, but they're attacking in patterns our computers cannot predict. Captain Dan Brown led the first wave of human fighters in an assault that defied every rule of space combat the aliens knew. His ships moved in seemingly random patterns, changing direction without warning, attacking from impossible angles. Remember, he told his pilots over the radio, fly like humans, not like machines. Be unpredictable. Make them guess what you're going to do next. The human fighters swarmed around the massive alien ships like angry insects. Their weapons were weaker than alien technology, but they struck in places in ways the alien defense systems couldn't anticipate. Commander. Julie Green's stealth ships used a different approach entirely. They broadcast false radio signals, played, recorded alien communications, and created phantom ships on enemy sensors. The alien fleet found itself shooting at targets that weren't there, while real human ships attacked from behind. Sir, our tactical computers are failing, reported the alien weapons officer. The human attack patterns are causing system overloads. Cannot predict their movements. Vixmel watched in disbelief as his superior technology failed against human chaos. How is this possible? They are primitives. Their technology operates on completely different principles, sir. Our systems are designed for logical, efficient warfare. The humans are not being logical. On Earth's surface, Dr. Phil Adams activated the planet-wide defense grid. But this wasn't just a shield to protect Earth. It was also the most powerful transmitter ever built. Broadcasting on all frequencies, he announced. The entire galaxy is about to hear our message. The transmission that went out from Earth contained everything. Video evidence of Protectorate slave camps. Recorded communications revealing their plans. Testimony from captured alien officials. The complete truth about the Galactic Protectorate's 1,000-year reign of terror. On the Protectorate, command ship alarms screamed as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls from 17 different sectors," the communications officer reported. "Rebellions have broken out on protected worlds throughout the Empire." "Which worlds?" Dexmel demanded. "All of them, sir. Every protected world in the galaxy is in open revolt." For the first time in his career, Dexmel felt fear. The Protectorate's power came from keeping their enslaved species isolated and ignorant. If all the slaves rebelled at once, the Empire would collapse. "Sir, urgent message from the High Council," another officer called out. "They're ordering all enforcement fleets to return immediately to deal with the rebellions. Cannot leave. Now, we are in the middle of conquest." "Sir, the Velinary mining worlds have fallen. Zephyrian construction fleets have turned against their overseers. The entire economic foundation of the Empire is collapsing. In space around Earth, the human defenders pressed their attack. What they lacked in firepower, they made up for with determination and unpredictability. Captain Neil Carter coordinated the defense from his flagship. All units, the aliens are getting confused. Press the advantage now." The human ships attacked in waves that followed no pattern the alien computers could understand. Sometimes they attacked alone, sometimes in groups, sometimes they focused on one target, sometimes they spread their fire randomly. The alien fleet, designed to fight logical opponents, couldn't adapt to human chaos. "Sir, we've lost 8 ships," the alien tactical officer reported. "Our defensive systems cannot cope with their attack patterns." Smell made a decision that would have been unthinkable hours earlier. Signal retreat. "We withdraw to deal with the rebellions." "Sir, the High Council will not approve of retreat from a primitive world. The High Council will approve of saving the Empire from total collapse." As the alien fleet began to withdraw, humanity delivered its final message. Commander Jake Morrison, who had received the first alien transmission, opened a channel to the retreating ships. "Or Commander Vixmel, this is Earth Defense Command. We have a message for your High Council. Speak quickly, human. Tell them that Earth doesn't need guardians. We've learned that the most dangerous threats often come disguised as protectors. The galaxy knows the truth now. Your empire of lies is over." Jake paused, then delivered the words that would echo across the galaxy for generations. "Consider this our gift to all enslaved species everywhere. The knowledge that freedom is worth fighting for, and that sometimes the best defense is simply asking the right questions." The Protectorate fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving Earth's solar system. For the first time since their arrival, behind them they left a changed galaxy. On worlds across the Empire, enslaved species had heard humanity's message. They learned that their protectors were actually their captors. They discovered that the cosmic threats were lies. Most importantly, they realized they were not alone in their desire for freedom. The Velinary, who had once served as the Protectorate's most trusted administrators, turned their knowledge of the system against their former masters. The Zephyrian skilled engineers forced to build Protectorate ships sabotaged the very vessels they had constructed. The Kryalon, bred for centuries to serve as guards, joined their former prisoners in rebellion. Within days, the 1,000-year-old Galactic Protectorate began to crumble. Worlds declared independence. Fleets defected to the rebellion. Supply lines collapsed as forced laborers abandoned their posts. Dr. Lisa Hamilton stood in the same control room where humanity had first heard the alien offer. She watched the reports streaming in from across the galaxy as species after species threw off their chains. "It's really happening," she said to Admiral Carter. The entire empire is falling apart. All because we asked a simple question, Admiral. Carter replied, protection from what? Captain Steve Parker joined them at the observation window. Earth hung peaceful and blue in the darkness, no longer threatened by false protectors. You know what the strangest part is? Steve said. The aliens were right about one thing. The galaxy is dangerous. There are real threats out there. Now we'll face them as free beings, Dr. Hamilton added. Not as slaves who've forgotten how to think for themselves. In the months that followed, the galaxy would reorganize itself. Free worlds would band together for mutual protection, but as equals, not as masters and slaves. New technologies would be shared freely, not hoarded by oppressors. And at the center of it all, humanity would take its place not as the strongest species, but as the one that remembered the most important lesson of all, sometimes the most dangerous. Enemy is the one who claims to be your protector. And sometimes the most powerful weapon is a simple question asked at the right time. The galaxy was free. It would never forget the species that taught them to ask why.